Namaskar, Namaskaram, Namaskara, Namaskaramu, Namaskar, Vanakkam, Sat Sri Akal, Adab Arz hai. This is Sree Iyer. Today I'm joined by Professor RV, but because of inclement weather, we're having some bandwidth issues in Bengaluru, but the audio line is working fine. Professor RV, Namaskaram and welcome to PGurus channel, sir. So, sir, we have a very healthy set of people who are wanting to listen to you about F20. You know, viewers, we all have heard about G20. It's a group of 20 nations that kind of got co-opted after the G7 felt that it wasn't able to shake much, so they added more people and it became G20. Now, Professor RV is going to talk today about F20, a family of or 20 families that are holding India to ransom. In their own way, they are also tasting victory now. If you look at the recently concluded elections, one of the families who's now firmly entrenched back in Tamil Nadu is the DMK family. Likewise, Mamata Banerjee also seems to be headed down the same path, with her nephew being her chosen anointed successor. I'm not sure about this. Professor RV can set me straight. And it is my hunch, and I could be wrong about this, and Professor RV doesn't agree with me on this, but intellectuals will not agree on everything all the time. I believe that Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan also is starting his own empire, which will be a first for the CPIM. Professor RV, take it away, sir. Since we have only your voice to hear, we're going to have a nice backdrop of the Washington Memorial and the Lincoln Memorial while you talk, sir.
Regulars might recall that we had a discussion on this F20 families, which are controlling the political space in the country, some 3-4 months before. But now it has become a much major issue. That is the reason why we want to revisit this space in terms of the family of 20, we call them, or F20. And just now the report has come, very interesting, before we enter into it, which is also linked, that there is a significant amount of concern in US as well as other places about China being the originator of this Wuhan virus from the lab, actually. And there is also a report we suggest, which is not very already done or anything, we suggest India may think in terms of taking it up very seriously, and he may even file a FIR for mass destruction against China in India and ask for reparation. Of course, my suggestion would be to ask for 2 times the GDP, because we lost nearly the 2 times the GDP, something like 6 trillion we should be asking. That is the report. But
are you sure our lawyers and judges can count, sir, that high?
Yeah.
Okay, please continue.
I didn't get it.
I said, are you sure the judges can count a number that big?
No, it is not the judges. We will wait and see. Anyhow, this we will link it up later with this discussion which we are having. Now, these 20 families, starting with Abdullah family in Jammu and Kashmir to Karunanidhi family in Tamil Nadu, we have a huge list in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, in West Bengal now, and also in Andhra Pradesh, along with Karnataka, where Devagowda and his sons are popular, having a political party, and Tamil Nadu. So these 20, we call them unlisted private enterprises. They could have been listed in the stock exchange. It would be very interesting, actually. One can buy and sell shares based on their electoral performance. But otherwise they are. And significant number of them are money-making machines. To the extent, recently when Tamil Nadu elections were over, government formation was taking place, many of the Tamil newspapers openly wrote about, Pasai Ulla ministries are not being allocated for this and that person. What they mean is the ministries where you can make huge amount of money is not getting allocated to these ministers. There was no sense of shame, or there was no sense of hiding anything anymore. It has become, explicit, actually. And The newspapers felt that X and Y minister deserve more the ministries where they can make money. This was the sort of a message which was communicated. Anyhow, these 20 families, of course, we lightheartedly observed last time also, some of these families, the second son seemed to be getting more important than the first son. This was mentioned, like in the case of Lalu Yadav, the case of Karunanidhi, in the case of Devagowda, quite a number of examples can be given. That's a item for thesis for some people. Definitely, why the what we call second son syndrome. Anyhow, let it be as it is. Now, in the US, traditionally there was this Democrat and Republican, and normally we used to say there were Democratic Republicans and Republican Democrats. That's a sort of a common platform, and these are the people who finally used to rule the country. There will be election between Democrat and Republican, but finally the Democrat Republican and Republican Democrat will sort of have a what one can call a conclave or understanding, and the things used to be till that time of Trump, which got this thing got broken. In other words, the Democrat became more Democrat, and the Republican became. And Trump originally, many of you will remember, is not even a Republican anyhow. So, but this bipartisan politics was there. In India, unfortunately, this never got developed except pre, Indira Gandhi time, when there were some socialist groups and other things which often on cooperated with the center, except the Marxist, which we will come to during the 1962 conflict also, they did not cooperate with the central government. Many of the Marxist leaders that time seems to campaigned against giving funds for the defense forces and other things. When there was a collection, there is a established record on all these things. Anyhow, we never had this bipartisan type of an attitude. During Congress time, there were significant number of local chieftains like Nijalingappa, Atulya Ghosh, Patel, Kamaraj. Every state had its own. And somehow or other, each of the chieftains, in a sense, can be sort of a king in his own position. But these people were derided as syndicate, and the Indira Gandhi campaigned against them, and it became highly what one can call centralized type of a party. Not only that, she wanted to have chief ministers who were sort of her puppeteers. There was one chief minister in Karnataka, Gundrao, who openly told, we are all actors in the Indira Gandhi Natya Mandali. Whatever she says, we will. If she says you put an act of Ravan, I will put an act of Ravan. If she says put it as Raman, I will put it as Raman. Openly told. And then he had a cigarette packet in his hand when he was giving this interview. He told, he twisted it, kept it on the table. And then he told, if it has to be kept on this portion that is lying down, I will do it lying down. If it has to be kept on standing on the table, I will do it standing on the table. There was no sense of shame or sense of concern or anything. So she actually encouraged only people without any solid ground level base as leaders. And whoever was, they were all her puppeteers like Gundrao, like Siddharth Shankar Ray, Antule. So many people can be mentioned about. And whoever is developing significant amount of power, she undercut it. She generated dissidents within the Congress, like exactly what today Sonia is doing against Captain Amrinder Singh. And because he is, gaining a lot of mileage and popularity, she is concerned about it, and she is using this Sidhu. She is trying to destabilize it. So the Congress slowly demolished all these local chieftains, and in the process, what has happened is we have developed a significant number of these family-based parties in its place. Actually, these family-based parties are, as I called it, unlisted enterprises, and of course, partnership firms, some people call it. Today, the CSO uses the jargon in terms of, quasi corporate. whatever it is for partnership firms. Quasi-corporate is something funny. It is neither corporate nor non-corporate. It's something like partly pregnant, which is, I think, is only CS, Indian economist and government statistician can explain that. Anyhow, so these parties have all been passed on from one to another. This is, for instance, Malayam has given it to his son, Lalu has given it to his son. Except one interesting thing in the case of DMK. Karunanidhi was not a founder of DMK. This is something very, very important to remember. He later joined DMK. He was not one of the initial 7 who were, but he
Sir,
captured
for completeness, can you list the original 7 founders of Dravida Munneta
later. I will have to, look at that list and other thing. I don't have it immediately. Everybody knows Nadarajan, Madhyadagan, Annadurai, like that, I will, the list is easily available.
Okay,
the point is, he captured the party. You see, in the case of PMK, for instance, it was founded by Ramadas, who handed it over to his son. Not that it is justifiable. I am just telling, at least in their cases, the father founded, and like Mamata is planning to hand it over to her nephew. She founded the party. Lalu founded the party. Mulayam founded the. But this man didn't was not a founder. He captured it from within. That's something which is extraordinary. After capturing it, he gave it to his son. Who gave it to? He is planning to give it to his son. That is the grandson of Karunanidhi. That is something very, very important to note. Actually, he is not a founder. Okay. And what is the fundamental aspect? Why do they want to give it to their children? Everybody talks about dynasty politics is power based, and it's one dimension is power, but more important is the money. See, during the period of their ruling, they accumulate huge amount of funds. The amount of money which they accumulate is obscene, actually, in terms of corruption, in terms of and as early as 1967, when DMK came to power, there is a verifiable account of ISRO wanting to have a space station in Tamil Nadu. It identified a location for launching its rockets. That time it was just coming up. It was not even a well-known organization or anything. They were all budding scientists. And so some of the scientists from ISRO visited Tamil Nadu. That time there was a discussion to be started, and Annadurai was not well. When Madhyadagan was deputed in his place, who came, and one of the participants later revealed that they were told what is the amount they can give it to the party. So they were shocked. First of all, they are a government of India company. Maximum they can give is a calendar or a diary in those days. And I don't know whether ISRO was even publishing it. The point is, they couldn't set it up. They went outside Tamil Nadu and went into the current place. Point is, this has become a very, very common phenomena. Any project or any activity, you have to give a cut money to the regional party or a party in power. In this case, many of them, and almost all of them have accumulated huge amount of funds. So the problem is for the elder, when he passes away or when he is no more, to pass it on to his children. And how does he do it? Only by empowering them inside the political party. You see, if he gives the political party reins to somebody else's hand, the money will go to that fellow. That is one thing. The money doesn't go also. But if his son or progeny is not in a position of power, or at least in opposition power, he is not sure of holding on to the money, because the new government can create issues for him. If he is in power, obviously he can protect it. If he is in opposition position, he can at least a political vendetta. And there is some raid or something. If some new government seriously wants to take stock of it, then they can say that because we are an opposition leader, there is a sort of a political thing taking against us. What is that, sir?
Sir, I happen to be first-person witness of the changeover of state power from Congress to the then newly formed Janata Dal, which Mr. Devagowda became the chief minister. And there was a room where all the talks were happening, and what was being discussed was many of the Congress MLAs who had started various land projects. You know how in Karnataka it's all land. right? So they were doing deals. Look, now you are in power. I have this one here, this one here, this one here, and don't touch this. That. So there is a lot of this kind of bargaining that goes on, and in return for that, the party that goes out of power strikes a deal with the party in power. So I am sure when these families are in the opposition, they make some sort of deal with the ruling guys and say, okay, don't do this, and in exchange for this, I will not oppose you on this. All sorts of deals get taken place, and that is the politics of India for you, sir. I just wanted to let you know this was 25 years ago. I still remember it like yesterday. Please continue, sir.
It is not that position only. That's one dimension of the issue. That is the reason why they hand it over to the children. That's what I want to stress. Unless and until they hand it over to the children, it will go to somebody else. That's not something which is acceptable. You accumulate something like 200, 300 crores and suddenly it goes out of your control. This is the most important thing. And for instance, I will tell you an example. Samuel Reddy, YSR Reddy in Andhra Pradesh, suddenly died in an air crash. After that, there were many reports, some of them are reliable reports, that he has accumulated huge amount of money abroad. And it was not even fully known to his family members. What is the amount of money, where it has been accumulated, who are the lawyers and chartered accountants and all these things. They seem to have lost out quite a bit of the amount because many leaders think they are permanent. This is another issue. And that's one thing, something very funny actually, because anytime they can. So they don't pass it on to their mistresses or to wives or to children or anybody. Sometimes they illicit money. If it is domestic, it can always be traced. And so the point is, that is the reason why the children are. So the unlisted enterprises should continue to be in their control. The only way is to give it to their the political position to their children. This is so it's not simply some dynasty issue where the what you know, the ministryship is to be occupied by the new person. Some people say, oh no, you see like you were mentioning about this Penarai, those are what you may I would loosely call very aberrations. Vasundhara Devi's son was member of parliament. Then that was that Jaswant Singh's son was member of parliament. There were too many examples one can give from BJP where the children were. Today, for instance, many people are accusing Amit Shah to put his son into BCCI. So, but these are not dynasty politics. When does the dynasty politics take a prominent role is when you control the party. This is extremely important. The party should be under your control and your ability to pass it on to your children comes out of that full control. As long as the party is not in your full control, you cannot talk about dynasty or anything. What is that, sir?
Sir, quickly, this is more in humor than anything else. It is Pinarayi Vijayan's second son-in-law, sir, and that might become the next chief minister.
Oh, I just wanted to tell you. No, he will not become. I think you are not. No. Understanding of the Communist Party is totally different. There is a politburo. There is a central committee. All complicated. People told Jyoti Basu will become prime minister. Did he become prime minister? The central committee told, no, you can't become prime minister. He was upset, but nothing could be. So this is, so I think any relative being appointed, I would not by itself. For instance, a lot of people are telling Yediyurappa's son is interfering in the running of the government. And, some ruling party minister or they themselves have complained openly that his son, I would not even, because the political party is finally not controlled by them. Political party is controlled by the BJP central committee and some amount of influence of RSS and all those things are there. Anyhow, so any relative getting in need not necessarily be a dynasty politics. The point is it under your full dominance or control, where you can now what is the issue with this 20 families or controlling is there are three major issues. One is they always use the fault lines in India, caste fault line or language fault line or that of the regionalism. And for instance, recently, I do not know how much serious he was. this Maharashtra Chief Minister told Belgaum is an occupied territory. We will, invade and capture it. It's as stupid a talk as anything else one can hear. And there was a response from Karnataka by many politicians that let him try to enter the occupied territory. We will give a befitting. These are rabble rousing at the time of election or at the time of poll, but sometimes they go out of hand. This is something very, very important to note. This is the first point, the fault lines being used by them. Second is, of course, the wealth accumulation we mentioned. Third is, are they really pro-nationalist in terms of crisis? I think this is going to be the acid test, which we have to wait and see. For instance, I am sure the tension with China is going to grow as days go by. In case we are going to designate China as one of those who spread this massive disease in India as a bio warfare. That's a word used nowadays. Interestingly, I should share it with you. I think I did mention it PGurus also. As early as March 2020, March 20th or 21st, I remember, I was mentioning that this is a weapon used by China. Because at that point of time, Wuhan had started this, but Shanghai and Peking were happily, jumping with joy. They were having their own activity. Whereas the disease has spread to Milan, Paris, and various other cities and other thing, and later to India. So this is something very funny. You don't have a massive outbreak, for instance, in Bangalore, and Chennai is not affected, or adjacent places. This is what inconceivable actually. Anyhow, when I told this, you will be surprised to know one of the leading Marxist leaders told me, Professor, as you grow old, you are becoming senile. So he mentioned that actually on the phone. I told why. I told you are telling that it's a bio weapon by China. I told okay, senility you can accuse me of, but you never know. Sometimes senility also sets in, and you tend to get things better. Anyhow, now the so-called conspiracy theory is becoming the mainstream. Point is, as our tensions with China grow, what will be the nature of the reaction of these G20, these F20? That is very, very critical. Are these these family enterprises going to stand with the center? And the most important is the major family enterprise, which is headed by Sonia Gandhi. From 1998, she has been the chief of this party for roughly 22 years actually. In between, she gave it to her son and got it back again. 1998. The way she came in itself was very interesting. It was not due to the election or that time this Kesari was to be the president. He went for the restroom and it was locked from outside. Believe me, by this our good old friends, that Chowdhury, who used to laugh like Tadaga in the parliament. And there is another leader from Mayavaram. One of the leaders are Manishankar Iyer. These two people were the prominent one who locked that. And he was inside. The president of the Congress party was inside the restroom. And she was declared as elected as the president of the Congress party 1998. Now it is 2021. In between, of course, sometime she gave it to. The point is, they have signed an agreement with China, the Congress party, and the ambassador of China was present. It was with the Chinese government or with the Chinese Communist Party. That has not been elaborated. And the contents of the agreement are not yet released, fully revealed or anything. Off and on, it is being talked about. The point I want to stress is the major, whether one likes it or not, they are the ruling in several states. Political party, which is a family enterprise. The major head of the country's family enterprise is Sonia Congress. What will be their stance if there is a full blown out explosion with China? Need not necessarily be a war. It can be a war of words, and then withdrawing ambassadors and all these things goes on. So that is something interesting to watch. How they will react, the Congress, and how other parties, particularly the communist parties, because Communist Party was known in 1962, I told you, to be pro-China. That's the reason they split actually from the CPI, which was supposed to be pro-Russia. Then we also have a huge Maoist group. They are active around 70 districts in the country actually, who are explicitly pro-China. There is no what one can call doubt about them. They are not so far known to be dynasty based, in the sense the Naxalite leaders don't hand it over to their children or anything as of now. So there is a huge group, and they have won something like 16 to 17 MLAs in Bihar. They are very, very growing. So that is also, they told the Chinese chairman is our chairman in 1967. And today we have to remember that because it is the Tiananmen Day, the Tiananmen Square massacre, which killed some thousands of students in China. So what is their role is another issue. Third is the role of the Dravidian forces. And they have always, earlier they used to say central government as Madhya Sarkar. And suddenly now they are telling it is not Madhya Sarkar, it is a Vandriya Sarkar, some sort of a union type of an idea. The idea is when you talk in terms of the union, you can always talk in terms of right to segregate from the union. So it's a very dangerous thing. If you ask me, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, we will discuss it separately, maybe in another context, are two major hotspots in the future. These two states put together is going to be the Kashmir of the future in terms of jihadi forces, in terms of left extremists, in terms of Dravidian groups and other things. So we have to wait and see how do these family-based parties go to react. The last point I want to make is quite a number of them have accumulated wealth abroad. For instance, so many people have told about Sharad Pawar's wealth accumulation abroad, and one doesn't know anything because on paper at least he is the cleanest politician in the country. There is no commission against him. There is no case against him. As one person jokingly told me, one bureaucrat from Maharashtra, you try filing a case anywhere against him in Maharashtra, then you will know what you are into. Anyhow, so, and his daughter allegedly has some 10 acres of land and earned 100 crores farmland, so no taxation also. This is actually, I always say that she deserves a Global Krishi Ratna Award, because I don't think anybody else in the world out of 10 acres can generate 100 crore profit. Anyhow, so the accumulated wealth abroad is another issue for many of these family-run businesses. What are the issues, sir? Illicit money they have kept. Of course, now everybody talks about Antigua and this adjacent places, Dominica. Suddenly, Antigua and Dominica has become some sort of a neighboring country for us, each having a population not more than my Resident Welfare Association, I think. Anyhow, and they seem to have one Supreme Court, and everybody is eagerly waiting. And there, people don't realize everybody will be related to everybody else. The judge, the witness, the accused, the police, the dog walker, all of them will be related to each other. It's such a stupidest place. Anyhow, so when you keep money in these illegal joint, many of the international agencies, spy agencies, will be easily knowing about it, like CIA or any other international agency. So they can blackmail you actually. This is something very, very important to remember. Actually, I should share it with you, a light-hearted comment. When I was in Shanghai, one of the senior person in Shanghai told me, is in the political party. He told, I am always amused about you Indians. I asked why. It's very easy to buy you. You require one black label bottle or, one silk tie at the top level also sometimes. Why can't they demand, properly what they want and other thing? So like that, if these G20, they got illicit money, they can be blackmailed by global agencies in order to follow certain line of thinking or in order to do. So this is something which I think we should be concerned about or worried about more than anything else. Are these fronts or are these G20 holding money abroad? So what is the way out? Way out is very simple. Government of India should have started it in 2014. Unfortunately, they didn't do it. You must punish some members of the G20. and put them inside after proving through the due process and other. There is no point in trying to buy peace with them. For instance, BJP formed a government with that lady, Mehbooba Mufti. She didn't change even an inch after ruling for 4 years, 5 years. They formed a government to Shiv Sena. Finally, Shiv Sena has landed itself in the entirely exactly opposite position. They had DMK with them for 10 years. So none of these could be, modified or what one can call diluted by having them in power. So I think the central government should take very serious steps. Maybe, whatever is the nature of. See, only two leaders have been punished. One is that Jayalalitha and Shashikala. That was not due to government effort. Let's be very clear. That was due to the individual effort of Dr. Swami. And this Bihar chief minister, again, that was due to the local pressures and other thing about the what one can call the animal feed issues. So otherwise, nobody else has. Of course, in the case of Lalu, he converted the jail into resort and happily going around. There was no on paper only he was in jail. So the government should very seriously identify strong or weak link and put them in. That is one way to break the underlying nexus. Otherwise, what is going to happen is in the coming UP election as well as in the next general election, these G20 will form Mahagathbandhan. I am telling. There is already a competition between our lady, Mamata and Kejriwal and what is that person? Sharad Pawar is too ill, so the other person in Maharashtra, the Uddhav Thackeray. And one person jokingly told me because all these people will not like each other. Finally, they may all settle for Stalin because he is the most what one can call simple man who can read, who can't read anything, who can't write anything, who can only read from slips. So they may think that he is the most acceptable leader. You never know what will happen. So the Mahagathbandhan can be formed by these people. I can assure you on that. And they will try to destabilize the existing government under some pretext or other. So it is extremely important. Urgently, the step should be taken. This is something very, very uh, important according to me, and also which is very swift and which is very timely action should be initiated. Otherwise, we are going to be in for huge number of these families running amok in each state. And I do not know how much of them, how many of them are really interested in having a unified center or what one can call hold center. And that is going to be a period of turbulence and period of disorder. That is what I am visualizing. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. And as we speak about for the last 5 to 10 minutes of our conversation, I had that Sitaram Kesari's London experience, which was depicted in the form of a cartoon on PGurus. We had that displayed. So when you go back and watch the video, sir, you will see that we had put up that video, that cartoon. So we have a few questions from our viewers, sir.
Sure.
The first question is, Krishna Sundar wants to know, assuming in 2014 KCR becomes the CM of United Andhra Pradesh with support from Jagan Reddy, do you think assault on Telugu culture from ROP and ROL will be less?
See, this United Andhra Pradesh is a dream again. I do not think it is ever going to come through. Too much water has flown down the river, and too much amount of acrimony and bitterness have been generated. So that question doesn't come. And anyhow, this ROP, ROL issues are independent of all this. So they are growing phenomenally. In the case of AP and TS, ROL is much, much more active. And in the case of Tamil Nadu and Kerala, ROP is much, much active. Let's wait and see.
Next question from Vignesh Sivakumar. Isn't this the mistake of the public to elect the MLA / Lok Sabha MP we can say it is a dynasty if it is Rajya Sabha MP or in party position.
Come again? Sorry.
What the viewer is saying is, if the people elect the sons and daughters of existing politicians, is it not their mistake? The people's mistake.
Yeah, you can always say it is their mistake, but sometimes very interesting things also happen. It's not because of illiteracy or lack of knowledge. For instance, post-emergency, many people may not know or may not remember the southern part of India, which is supposed to be more educated, quote unquote, in terms of literacy rate and other thing, voted overwhelmingly for Indira Gandhi. The northern part of India, which is supposed to be illiterate and villagers and other things, from Patna to Pathankot, not a single seat could be won by Indira Gandhi. So there is you can always blame the people about this type of thing. At some time, for instance, it is not even fully elected. Let me give an example. At a point of time, Karunanidhi's younger son was the deputy chief minister. His elder son was a cabinet minister at Center, Minister of Fertilizer. His grandnephew was a cabinet minister at Center, Minister for Telecommunication. His daughter was a Rajya Sabha MP. His daughter's close friend was a minister for
Communications.
Telephone exchange and communication. This is the, and they have built a huge empire. He is supposed to be one of the Asia's richest men. So not all of that comes only by electoral politics. Some of that also comes from nominated and other type of positions. Okay.
Next question, sir, is what do you think of the secession tendencies of the DMK? Do you think they can split up India?
They cannot, nobody can split up India. Let's be very, very clear about it. Because you should understand about our army, navy, and defense forces, and a huge, mass of people in India who would love to keep India united. It's not something, and India didn't start in 1951. Let's be very, very clear about it. And when every river in India, people do Sankalpa, Bharadavarshe, Bharadagante, Merogo, for the last 1,000 years, they know what is India. So it's not going to be, they can make some, like they were telling LTT will split. LTT couldn't even split up, forget about Sri Lanka, only one small part of Sri Lanka. So these are stances. This will create unrest, ugly scenes, and some amount of violence. That's all. Nothing more.
Next question from Hemant. Sir, how accurate is India's census, especially regarding the religious population of different regions?
No, I would put it, our census is reasonably accurate, I would say. There could be, of course, always an error. In any census, there is always a region of error. But otherwise, I do not have any reason. And also, we are comparing between census, 2001 to 2011. And so, if at all, there could be improvement only over periods of time, I would say.
The next question is from Nitya Kalyani Alai. Sir, how can the DMK party be controlled? Anna went to meet Pope. MK went and met Pope. Did Stalin meet the Pope? How to curtail them? How can we prosecute and eliminate them politically?
No. You cannot, meeting Pope, you cannot prosecute anybody as of now. So anyone can meet the Pope. And it is explicitly well known that they are pro, Christianity, and there is no what hide and seek about it. The entire Tamil film industry, for instance, today is controlled by this ROL and ROP, as well as the media industry. These two industries are gone actually in Tamil Nadu. They are completely in the hands of these. Unless you accept to their terms, you cannot shine in these industries. Any of these two industries today, media as well as in this film industry. Let's wait and see how things shape out. Yeah.
Next question. Balaji Ramaswamy wants to know, Professor Sir, the constitutional antidote to the menace. Can the 303 government bring the much needed changes for the benefit of society?
It should be. It should have done actually. Already, we are 14 to now 21, 7 years have gone. Actually, we have another 3 years to go, and one doesn't know what type of attitude is there and how the changes are going to be brought about. But time is the element. Time is very, very important, and the time is running out. If you ask me.
Next question from Satish Kidambi. What are the ways to nationalize foreign accounts of black money holders without depending on politicians?
Yeah, you see, we are a signatory. Tomorrow, actually, I am giving a talk in Indus University, 11 to 1. If you have time and inclination, you attend that on explicitly on this illicit money. You see, we have signed a United Nations declaration on fighting corruption. It's a open known. This was signed by Manmohan Singh time around 2013, just before 2014 election. And so we have to do several things as per that declaration, which we are a signatory. We can initiate steps in those directions. For instance, we have to publish what are called politically exposed persons. The list of politically exposed PEP should be published by RBA and Finance Ministry. Then we can initiate steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, you can read my book on black money, or you can see Dr. Swami's what website, and then find out what are the steps. It's not something top secret, but the most important is there should be a bill. Unless there is a will, there is no way.
Next question. Pavan Timmavajala wants to know, how do we start forming new alternatives when the business people become patrons of the new parties and they are seen as the bad guys? For family control of politics to end, independent faces are needed. So how do you break the cycle is what Pavan wants to know.
It's not easy. This business having links with politics all over the world, it is there. First, let us be very, very clear. Recently, it has come out. Pfizer has financed so much amount of funds for this Biden election. Even pre-independence days, Birlas were one of the major supporters of Congress party. Actually, Mahatma Gandhi died in his house only. He was shot in Birla house. And as many groups were funding and facilitating. So it's not, the point is, as Kamaraj used to say, there is a link between the two, but it is very important who controls whom. Finally, one has to draw a line. So we may be getting some funding from them, we may be getting some finance. Same thing he used to say about the Gunda element or the Mafia element. He used to say that some amount of Gunda elements are there in all the parties, but once they begin to take the reins, then it becomes very, very complicated. Same way, business politic link is not something which is uncommon, if you ask me. But the ability of the political leadership and ability of the bureaucrats also, most important, and the court to withstand this issue and draw a line. It's not that and the business also would like to keep some distance because they are worried who is going to come to power tomorrow. That is more equally important for them, not only today. And they don't, if you ask me honestly, if you are very clear about your dealing with the business, you can get funds at the same time, draw a line and tell them enough is enough. And by and large, I won't say 100%. By and large, our Indian business are, I'm not talking about MNCs, I'm talking about domestic Indian business are reasonably concerned about the country and patriotic. If you ask me, my interaction with them suggests that, and they do, fund and finance a large amount of social activities in India, which are extremely important and which are very much aligned with the notion of India.
Sir, next question is from Abhyuday Pratap Singh. What he wants to know is, under Trump, they banned the digital currency of Venezuela called Pedro, Pedro, overnight. But in case of Bitcoin, it has been allowed to flourish. Is today the Bitcoin a challenger to the US dollar? And if so, what is the US going to do about it?
You see, all these Bitcoin, Pedro, and other, their base is very weak. This is not understood by anybody. There is no sovereign guarantee for any of these. If they fall to, sort of from $10 to $1, nobody is going to write it up. On every currency note, even in India, you will find that the Reserve Bank of India is liable to pay you such and such an amount on the note. Same thing in US. Every dollar printed has got underlying support from the sovereign government. Of course, in the case of US, interesting is roughly 45 to 50% of US dollar is outside US, not within US also. So that is one of their major strengths. And the major countries like China, even India, has invested significantly in US foreign currency. So what I want to stress is all these Bitcoin and Bitcoin and other thing are all fine, but as long as they don't have a underlying sovereign guarantee, it is not going to be very easy. Because today, Teslas will hold it some extent, and then tomorrow you will not hold it at all. Then there is no recourse for you. That is what is the most important thing. Okay.
Sir, next question. Surya Kaundinya Oruganti wants to know, what is PGurus stand on Raghuramakrishna Raju incident in AP? Has your silence got to do with Swamiji's support to the government on temple conversions? Sir, if you don't mind, can I answer this question?
Yeah. PGuru doesn't, I don't think should have a stand on any of these things. Anyhow. Okay.
Yes. So I think there's a bit of history to this. We have had Raghuramakrishna Raju on our panel, on our hangouts a couple of times, where we talked about what was happening to Hindu religious institutions like temples, as well as the stand of Jagan Mohan Reddy. Now, in this particular instance, where Mr. Raghuramakrishna Raju is alleged to have been beaten up while in the custody of police, we have been silent because some things appear to be not adding up. And therefore, without having all the facts at hand, we chose not to say anything about it. One of the things that is being put forward is that the Samdiji, the Sambandhi, the Viyankudu of Raghuramakrishna Raju used to be somebody who was fairly high up in the YSRCP, and that person has had a falling out with Jagan Mohan Reddy. I don't know if this is true or not, and that whatever you are seeing now is a reflection of this tussle between these two individuals in the YSRCP. Remember, Raghuramakrishna Raju is also a member still of the YSRCP. So it is whatever it is something that they are having a fight. It is not worth talking about it, especially when nobody is able to prove the fact one way or the other. And also, I don't think Dr. Swami's name should be dragged in the Tirumala Tirupati things into this one, because what he has said again and again, and I repeat it again today, you need solid proof of people not being Hindus being employed in TTD. Whenever that has been provided, the action has been taken. In fact, the people who were told, why should you not be relieved of your jobs, they have gone to the Andhra Pradesh High Court and got a stay order on that. Why isn't the government trying to vacate the stay? What is Dr. Swami's role in all these things? You guys don't seem to understand some of the basics. Why don't you ask the government of Andhra Pradesh under Jagan Mohan Reddy to go and vacate the stay? Why just keep on dragging Dr. Swami's name? This is the same thing that happens in Tamil Nadu also, sir. These people try to make fun of whatever it is that Dr. Swami says because they can't stand up to him on facts or data. Anyway, let's go on to the next question, sir. Seshagiri Nilakantan, here's a good question. What is your opinion on the DBS-LVB, Lakshmi Vilas Bank merger? Is it a win-win? Was India obliged to SG because CECA agreement between any consequences of a foreign bank on the Indian financial system? You know more about it than I do, sir. DBS, LVB.
Yeah. See, one thing you should know, whoever is asking that question, significant amount of influence is uh, present by the Big Four consulting and chartered accountancy firms and global financial institutions and MNCs on the Indian government. Let's not be very. So this uh, there was a looking at LVB for a quite number of years by many institutions, and CBS is one of them actually. Whether it should have been hurriedly handed over another thing is a very interesting question. But as I told you, the influence of these global players, as well as the influence of the ex-bankers and ex-investment bankers in various institutions like the ministry, uh, Niti Aayog, so many places, is another thing which plays a very major role. So this is what is my surmise. I cannot obviously get the proof regarding this, but the hurried handing over is not a very uh, desirable thing.
Next question from Nifty Guru. Why does India have a natural hate for family based organizations, be it the Ambanis or the Gandhis?
What you call, there is a subtle distinction between the two. One is a business organization which deals with the other is a political organization which can run the country. These two are not the same. For instance, Ambani can tomorrow even get into difficulties and fail, like the other younger brother is in deep problem. So that is I think these two cannot be. People jump into issues in India without seeing the underlying picture. And a family control the government. That's a much more issue than a business can be run by a family. There is nothing wrong about it or nothing, and it has its own what one can call ups and downs. Some even the traditional businesses in India, your Birlas or Tatas or any number of examples can be given. Dalmias and various families have run it. There is nothing wrong about it. But when it comes to the political power, handing over the keys of the North Block and South Block to a family, I think that's really a difficult proposition.
Next question from Sesha Subramaniam Sivasailam. Are Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi having dual citizenship, which violates our law? Shall they be expelled from India if found to be violating rules?
If found to be, that is most important. So investigation should be undertaken by the government and they should come forward with it. This is something which you should ask to the government of India, not to Sir Vaidyanathan, right?
So true. Next question from P. Raghu. Your thoughts on the new finance minister of Tamil Nadu?
There is nothing much. It's hardly 15 days. One has to only wait based upon the white paper he is expected to release as well as his budget and other thing. As of now, he seemed to be getting into some controversies which according to me is not called for. That's not in his domain or something. And only one interesting thing I saw was he spoke in a International Association of Madaliyars and Pillaimars, Global Association, headquartered US. So that is the only thing. I thought that's not very contributing to his own policy of casteless society. Anyhow, that's all right.
Sir, I have a curiosity question at this point. I mean, Pillaimars are considered to be a combination, just like Nayars, of Kshatriyas and Brahmin bonds. How did they go and align with Madaliyar, sir?
No, this first part of your assertion, I am not very sure about it. So I cannot answer that actually, right?
No. Pillais are Daivatin Pillai, God, children of gods. That's how
No, no, there are
it's supposed to mean.
several types of lemurs are there. Anyhow,
Okay, so I need to be getting educated on this. I leave it there. So, MD Ravikant wants to know, despite having a full majority, Modi seems reluctant to act against the misdeeds of these families. Why so? What action will action against them change the current position and their hold?
Is this a question or is this a statement?
No. What he's saying is, if the if BJP were to act and send some of the F-20 people to jail, would that make them more unpopular or popular?
It should have been done in 2014, according to me. It's a bit. What happened is, as the time passes by, any action initiated by you immediately is conceived as political vendetta. For instance, what should have been initiated against Mamata 4 years before, when you do it before the poll, then obviously this Narada, for instance, it has been kept into what one can call fridge, cold freeze, and then suddenly it is opened up before poll. The credibility, even though the issue may be genuine, the credibility of the issue perceived is becoming a doubtful thing. Otherwise, I would definitely say action should be initiated.
Sir, I have a counter question to this, sir. Jayalalitha was proven to have been guilty of corruption. She went and did jail time. She came out of jail and she contested and she still won. She was chief minister.
Yeah.
So my point is that
Because
even if you are convicted of corruption, it
no,
doesn't
no,
seem
no.
to wane your popularity.
The way it is, it's the way it is going to be done is more important. So convicted by itself, right? So this is the process by which you are caught, and then it shouldn't be perceived as something which is vindictive or anything, and that alone is not an adequate thing. Anyhow, we will have another detailed session on this actually.
Sankar Venugopal wants to know, it is so worrying when I heard both Kerala and Tamil Nadu collectively will be the next Kashmir. I am from Kerala and I can see it happening considering the present political situation. How can we prevent it?
It is worrying, you are telling, dear sir. It should be told by the government of India. That is what I would say. And how can it be prevented? 100 steps can be undertaken. Maybe we can have a separate hangout on Tamil Nadu and Kerala on a different footing. But the seriousness of the issue is not seem to be realized by the powers that be at the center. Because I think Delhi is so much Pakistan obsessed. It is not having its eyes on what is happening in the south. Let me be very frank about it.
Maybe just like they had Jammu and Kashmir, having Jammu and Srinagar being capitals for 6 months in a year, maybe they should have a southern capital also for 6 months.
That won't work out. Why should there be only southern capital? Why not Odisha? Why not Gujarat? All these things will come up. See, the whole idea of south north is ridiculous. What about west and east? Nobody seemed to think about them actually. So this is, it won't work.
Next question from Arun Kumar. Sir, what are your thoughts on the fuel price hike? Why there is no hue and cry from opposition? The common citizen continues to suffer. Why is this thing going unchecked?
See, dear sir, you should know the government of India doesn't have much revenue now because of the lockdown. So there is a huge amount of problem associated. The only way in which certain amount of funds can be collected is this. Second is not much use is done of this fuel today because of this lockdown again, and several states have banned even the transport corporations and other things. Third is people should also realize significant portion of the diesel and petrol is used by government itself, not by only the private people. So that is fourth is in another 5 to 10 years, I would say, people will not even look at the fuel prices because of the arrival of electric vehicles. Significant amount of changes are going to take place, and charging places and plug in and plug out and other things. So all these factors put together has not made such a major hue and cry about the fuel increase. Fuel increase will have a cascading effect indirectly through the diesel increase and transportation cost. that will have some amount of impact on the retail prices. Fuel increase by itself is not. And another thing, let's be very clear, good amount of, my hunch is at least 80% of the air travel is done by under corporate account, and a significant portion of the cars are held by corporates or used for corporate accounts. So all these things doesn't seem to have so the what one can call the last mile problem creation.
Next and last question, sir. Aman Sharma wants to know the Modi government's backtracking on the CAA. Is that a major critique of the government? Could we have formulated a better plan to implement the CAA?
CAA, what is there to better plan? The plan is very good actually. You see, the persecuted minorities in Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Pakistan are our responsibility. This is from 1947 or 1951 when Bangladesh, of course, formed in 1971. So there is nothing, I don't understand at all why people are talking about CAA has got nothing to do with domestic citizens. Let's be very clear about it. It has got nothing to do with Muslims in India. It has got nothing to do with people. It is only to do with quote unquote persecuted minorities in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. If they feel threatened, if they feel that they cannot carry on their avocation, they cannot carry on their religious beliefs and other things, they can apply to India. There should be some country where they can apply. There is absolutely nothing wrong. The only thing people can ask is, why not Pakistan enact a law wherein Indian Muslims can go and settle there? They can do that if they feel that the persecuted. And how many of Indians are feeling persecuted to go and live in Afghanistan or Pakistan? Let's see. So this is a commitment which we should have done in 1950 when we got separated. Obviously, because the entire exchange of population didn't take place according to Ambedkar formula. Even we never did that. So I don't understand at all why there should be a discussion about CAA. First of all, so the other one, there can be some discussion, National Register of Citizens, NRC, where some people can say that we have come from Bangladesh in 1984, 1973, and other thing. We are not in the list and those type of things. But CAA is absolutely a very, very, if you ask me honestly, very delayed law. It should have been enacted in 51 or 52.
Well, that brings us to a close of Ask RV episode number 5. Professor RV, I apologize for the technical difficulties.
No, why should you apologize? The fault is on my side. It's
No.
very raining very heavily here actually. That's I think could be one reason. If there is any one more or maybe question, I will take it. No problem. Another
let me check
one or
and see
two.
if there's any more questions there. We are about
Yeah.
an hour into the program. So that is it. I don't have any new questions, sir. That brings us to a close. Thank
Very
you very
good.
much.
Thanks.
And we'll be back again next Friday with Professor R.
Correct.
Vaidyanathan. Namaskaram.
Thank you.